Rachel here. Welcome to my SlowTVStitchery. Well, good morning. I have an interesting dilemma with this one. This is the dig house, and it's done in the felt fresco style. Now, I originally intended to mount it like this, on blue baize and fairly close. But once I'd done that, I looked at it and I wasn't happy. So I've tried something else. And this is the something else. I'm mounting it on cream, still in the fresco style, but with a lot more space around it. And interestingly, when I put my two choices up on Instagram and on the Dreams of Amarna Facebook page, the comments on the Facebook page were all in favour of the cream, and the comments on Instagram were all in favour of the blue. So I guess I'll just go with what I want to do myself. Now you will note that I have not, in this case, made the raggedy edge. That's because this one isn't intended to recall an Egyptian fresco. This is intended more to recall perhaps a little coloured sketch that someone did, one of the archaeologists or a visitor. Flinders Petrie was notoriously grumpy with visitors. It doesn't sound as though they had too many in Mary's time at Amarna. She certainly doesn't mention them, and she doesn't mention John Pendlebury, who was the director in her time, being especially tried by the sort of fashionable visitor that Petrie absolutely despised. From the sounds of it, they would have got such an education from Pendlebury that they wouldn't have done it to anybody else. He was knowledgeable and enthusiastic and energetic, so keeping up with him across a dig was a fairly wearing experience, even when you were in training. So this is a bit more modern. It's not intended to be ancient, but I like this way of mounting felt work. I think it works. And I have framed a couple of my pieces behind glass, but I always feel that they die when you do. So it's something I'm quite reluctant to do. Now, quite like this fabric. It reminds me of another part of my life when I was a student of industrial spinning. So I want not to be quite so definite about the lines along the bottom and top. I don't mind being definite about the edges, but I'm going to have to be a little more careful here. I might also very carefully needle felt a few more bits of green off the edge so that this has a chance to breathe and expand a bit more, perhaps. I'm now left really hoping I bought enough of this cream fabric to do the background for the cat, which is what I bought it for. We shall see. I am continuing to work on the design for William Marshall. And perhaps not surprisingly for a gentleman who made a fortune from jousting and survived, among other things, the reign of King John. William is giving me difficulties. So, sitting quietly, working on putting this together is actually a nice change from tearing my hair out over William's eccentricities. I do now have the details from the horse's mouth, as it were, about his coat of arms, because having found myself a little anxious about the quality of the information available online, I took what was to me the obvious route to information and contacted the College of Heralds, who, from the speed and lack of surprise in their response, you'd think heard from embroiderers about medieval warlords every day of the week. And maybe they do. There is certainly a lot of embroidery still related to heraldry. But I was rather thrilled to get an email from the officer in waiting for the week, who was Rouge Dragon Pursuivant, and never, when I was a child enthused by heraldry, did I imagine that at one point in my future I would be getting emails from Rouge Dragon Pursuivant. Although granted, at the time I didn't even know about email, so that point is perhaps a little moot. you will note that I'm not attempting to stitch through the layers of wadding and the primed canvas. I bought cheap artists' canvases, but of course these days they're always gesso primed, and that just makes them very hard to stitch through. Besides which, I may one day decide that I'm not as pleased with these pieces as I thought I was, and take them off the canvases and use the canvases for something else, like painting. I do need to get rid of some more of the blue down there, but that can wait. I'm very much looking forward to tackling the Amarna family. I think the navy blue steeler is going to look very dramatic, and I'm all in favour of a bit of drama. But I'm not quite sure how I'll keep it safe once it's done, which is one of the reasons that it hasn't been yet. Finding a box big enough is proving remarkably difficult. And this is irritating because I think my best choice of working frame for William Marshall is the one that the Amarna family is on. And until I am ready to mount them, I don't want to take them off the frame. I think they're safer where they are. So, as I said, I think I'm not going to stitch down the green. I may needle felt in some of these bits, destroy them a bit more, stretch them out. Always very satisfying when a plan comes together. I think this is working, and I think the little bit of needle felting, as long as I'm careful how deeply I punch, will also work well. That's all for this session. I hope you enjoyed following along. Happy stitching!